Okay, gang. So in this first module, you're setting up two different environments. One to be able to interact with your code, your IDE, and the other is a GitHub repository that will allow you to interact with others working on the code or share code with the others. So I've got videos on how to set up Visual Studio, and you can use Visual Studio Code, visualstudio.net, any form of Visual Studio you need to be able to do what we've got to do. Visualstudio.net can be a very resource intensive software environment. If you give it all the bells and whistles when you go to do the installation, it's several gig of space that it's going to take up. So oftentimes we can just get away with using Visual Code. It's much lighter. So we're going to deal with .cs files and projects. And in this first module, I've provided you a link to my GitHub repository for this course. And I don't have a ton of stuff in here yet because this course is in an evolutionary period at the time that I'm recording this, as we're switching from a previous platform publisher that I couldn't rely on anymore, and now we're switching over to this to where it's all us. It's all stuff that we have, and we don't have to rely on somebody else to provide us resources and them not be there to support us. So with that said, if you click on the link in the overview page for Module 1, there's a link there for this GitHub repo. And you'll go create your own account with GitHub. And you see I've got mine for the college, and I've got one for each course. And I have to share it out. So I can change settings for, do I want to allow people to have access to it? I can come down at the end and I want to make sure, see it says danger zone, I want to make sure that this repo is available. Is it available public, private? For what we're doing, make your repo public. When we're done with the course, you can make it private. There's not going to be stuff in there in the short term that is going to be any kind of privacy issues. So here's how we'll set this to where others in the class can see what we're doing, see what we've got in our repo. So I can jump back into my repo, and here's my repo for the course, and I've got folders in it. So here's my course folder. I can add more folders to this. I can go in and say, add a file. I can add a folder, whatever I want to do. But essentially, we'll just create your repo and add files in. You can add folders if you like, but to add a file, just click Add File, and a lot of what we'll do in this course is upload files. So you'll create a file in Visual Studio. You'll create your .cs file. That file extension, .cs, means C#. If you upload something that's .cpp, I'm not going to get any credit for it. That happened last semester to where somebody uploaded a file and the code was written in C++. This isn't a C++ course. This is a C# programming class. It'd be like you taking a Spanish class and submitting answers to a test in French. there's not going to be any credit for it. So with that said, you'll create your own repo for work that you'll do in here. And then when we're done, the course is all over with, you'll have this repo to where you can share it with others. And in other courses, you can have a portfolio, if you will, to where you can show somebody, here's the kind of work that I can do, whether it's Python notebooks or C# coding or whatever the projects may be. It could be Java, it could be C++, it could be something you've created in C. There's so much that we can store in here. So this is an environment for developers to work together. When we upload what we upload in here, other individuals can come in and interact with our repo if we give them permission to do so. So with that said, I've got a repo and I want to upload a file. Well, here's Visual Studio Code, and I can just go create a new file, and I just dictate what it is I want to create. Python, a Jupyter Notebook, test.cs. I say create it, and now I have in my downloads folder test.cs, and I can go and create this C# file with the intent of having it interact with a console interface. So we're not going to deal with a visual interface, a GUI interface in this course. We're focusing more on the fundamentals, the inner workings, what's happening behind the scenes in C#. The programming aspect of it, not we're going to focus on creating something where I don't understand how it works, but it's awful pretty. This course is about function, not so much form. So you'll create this .cs for whatever assignment it may be. Could be group assignment, could be individual assignment. And then once you've created it, you've got your code in here, you'll upload this .cs here using this utility to get it into your repo. Okay, well, that's not that complicated. So I'm going to switch over. Here's a repo for a previous student where they uploaded their link to their project. So they've got a group project they had to work on. You guys will as well. I'm not giving you everything that you need for the project in this code, but all they did was to share the URL up above for this .cs file. That's it. So when I clicked in the gradebook on the link they provided, it took me right to this. Now in the repo that you'll see here, if I go into the module 1 repo, it's a folder. You'll see I've got a .txt file in there. It could be a .cs. I've also got a readme.md. So the .md is a readme file to give you an idea. Think of it like an overview page, much like I've got in Canvas. And in there, there's links to other items to get you where you need to go. But it gives the user, or the client, if you will, information about what you're doing in here. So if you decide to add in a README file, readme.md, you can say, well, I want to add a file, create new file, test.md, commit changes. Yep, let's do it. And now I've got this test.md file. And if I had named it readme.md, it would be the default page. If user went into that repo, that's what they would get, and it would explain what's going on in there. Now you'll get more about this in the LinkedIn Learning link that I provided in Module 1 as well. It's not a graded assignment, but it's a great resource to go through to get familiar with GitHub and how to interact with it. Okay, so the LinkedIn Learning stuff that we're doing in the course, it's free. The college has a subscription to LinkedIn Learning, so as long as you use your palmbeachstate.edu login credentials into single sign-on using that, that'll get you into LinkedIn Learning, and you complete any of the courses, watch any of the videos, any of the stuff that's in there. We've got a few assignments in this course that utilize LinkedIn Learning. If you need more information on that, you can search LinkedIn Learning on the college website, and there's a walkthrough on how to access and do everything relative to LinkedIn Learning in the college website. Okay, so when it comes to these GitHub repos, I don't necessarily need the .md. If you have a README file, I don't need the README. I will need a .cs link for the assignments. Okay. On group assignments, I like to see a README. Here's what we did. Here's the stuff the problems that we ran into. If I had more time to work on it, here's what we would have done differently. Things like that, so that when I go through to evaluate your work, I've got some insights into what took place, how things go. Okay, so I'll see you in the rest of the course.